Welcome to the lab, folks. I just wanted to announce some changes in the channel and an up and coming event. So the changes to the channel, let's start there. So I've dropped back to kind of 2 videos a week, and I think I'm going to keep it like Wednesday and Sunday. If I have something really interesting, I may interject another video here or there. But I think, with summer coming up and a lot of things on my plate, I'm going to have to cut back to just the 2 videos a week. Also, I think that my videos are a little bit too long. I've been kind of targeting around about 15 minutes, but I think that's a little bit too long. Like if I look at the average watch time of my videos, it's between about 30 and 60%. So if I take the kind of middle of that, it would seem that maybe, 7.5 to 10 minutes might be more appropriate length for a video. Unless, of course, I can't adequately say what I want in that. So I'll make 2 videos. We'll have to see going forward, but I'm going to try and make the videos in around about 7.5 to 10 minutes. And I would really appreciate it if the guys who watch my channel on a regular basis would comment on all this down below. And another thing I'm going to do going forward in the kit builds and other things where I'm building up circuitry and stuff like that, I'm going to cut out the little musical montages. That doesn't mean I won't stop and show you something interesting that happens in the kit build. I'll certainly do that. And commenting on the quality and buildability of the kit. And the upcoming event is that I'm going away on holidays. What I've done is I've lined up 3 kit builds, which some of them worked and some of them didn't, but you'll get those starting Sunday and then Wednesday and then Sunday, and then I should be back. But enjoy those kit builds. They're simple builds. Well, one of them wasn't simple and it didn't turn out well, but I'll let you see that. So that's basically what's going to happen over the next little while. One thing I do want to touch on today is I got a question last night or today about the Zeeweii-154Pro scope and the triggering on it. All right, let's do an auto setup here. Okay, so we've got a signal coming in 50 kilohertz, a square wave, and it looks like we're triggering. See up here, the symbol here. It might be a little bit hard to see, but this symbol here tells us that we're triggering on the rising edge. So that's one of the things that you can change. So let's go into the menu, and let's go down to trigger. And you can see here we've got the trigger modes. We've got auto and normal. Now I will generally go with auto because it'll show a trace whether there's a signal being received or not, whether it could trigger or not. It'll just trigger and it'll give you a trace. So you can see where your trace is and you can see whether or not there is a signal coming in, but you may not have the edge or the level set properly. Now it's also got a trigger level. You have manual or auto. I would normally go with manual. I like to set my trigger level. So let's we'll show you what that can do for you, and whether you want to trigger on the rising edge or the falling edge. Let's go first and show you what that does. So if we get out of the menu, you can see we're triggering on the rising edge here. So this is the trigger point up here. That blue arrow is the trigger point, and we're triggering on the rising edge of the signal. And we go down here and we select falling mode and get out of here. You can see now we're triggering on the falling edge. We're in trigger mode here. So if I hit these arrows here, I can move the trigger point. So I can move that over. You see that blue dot moves over, and underneath it is the trigger point. If I move the trigger level up and down here, it's not really going to do anything unless I go out of range of the signal. And then of course you lose trigger. So let's show what will happen with a different kind of signal, like a sine wave. And now if we're still in trigger mode, so if I put the trigger up and down here, you can see how it triggers at the trigger point. But the signal now seems to move in order so that it can line up with the trigger point. Let's go maybe get a different signal. We'll try to bring the trigger point down to where it can't decide. It can't decide which of the rising pulses it's going to trigger on. So you have to be careful about that, and then you just bring it up to get the one that you want. It would be almost impossible just to trigger on the small one unless it's the only one on the screen. You have to adjust the trigger to get to where you have a single rising edge or a single falling edge. So let's bring that back in again. And then you can see the other parts of the signal, and you can line them up to where you want to by moving the trigger point, moving the whole trace over, and then maybe expanding out like this, and then you can see that one point there and increase the sensitivity on it. Okay, so I think that's gone pretty well through everything. The only thing now we could show you is let's do an auto setup here again, and we'll go in and show you using auto trigger level. So let's say okay to that, and come on out and see what it's choosing to do. So now if we go into trigger adjust mode, it's gone. So it's going to choose that trigger point for you, and there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing is you have to rely on the scope to make that decision for you. And like I say, in certain situations, that's not going to work out. Okay, I hope that demonstrates what the triggering is like. I mean, it's plenty good enough for most things. I mean, people lived with simple triggers on CROs for a long time, and were able to get the information that they required out of their oscilloscopes. So that's it, folks, and we'll see you for Kit Week coming up while I'm away on holidays, and I hope you really enjoy that. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.